What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James of Midhunter Comics. Today I'm going to go through some comics that kind of bugged me. We are going to ignore some that we've talked about on this channel before, which most people already kind of know about, like Spider-Man One More Day, in which they had Mephisto undo the MJ Peter marriage. Very unpopular, as well as Sins Past, where they had Green Goblin shack it up with Gwen Stacy. Those are unpopular, but they actually didn't make me angry. This list is specifically the ones that did that. Don't forget to be subscribed, like, and comment for a chance to win an ASM 300.98 once we hit 50,000 subs. First one I'm going to do here is Brightest Day. I actually liked Brightest Day largely as a whole, but there were some things I didn't dig, with one thing in particular that I really didn't like. So Swamp Thing originally was supposed to be Alec Holland gets blown up in the swamp, comes back as a monster. It was Alan Moore that revealed to us, in still one of the best twists ever, that no, Alec Holland did really die that day, and Swamp Thing is just a plant that thought he was the reincarnation of Alec Holland. He's no more Alec Holland than you and I. He made it all up. He goes into an existential crisis and has to discover who he is aside from all his fake memories of Alec Holland. One of the best things to happen in comics ever. And in Brightest Day, they undid that. They merged Alec Holland and Swamp Thing once again. I like Swamp Thing being Swamp Thing, not Alec Holland. And most people agreed. This felt like a very lazy excuse to throw in a twist, but it's a twist that undid something so iconic, and I don't think it works. All right, next is going to be a series called Rise of Arsenal. I like Roy Harper. I like all that stuff. I like the C-Squad DC group. I still think comics are too obsessed with the time that Speedy did drugs. Way too many callbacks to him just doing drugs and popping pills and hallucinating. It's like, I don't think they actually understand how heroin works. Neither do I, for the record, but I'm pretty sure it isn't a massive hallucinogen. His daughter dies, and he's just a dick for the entire miniseries. He engages in domestic violence. He's just an asshole all around, and randomly they threw in he has erectile dysfunction. What an important detail. The whole thing seemed incredibly pointless. I struggle to think of a more pointless miniseries that I've read from DC ever. Yeah. Still don't have that one explained. I think it did a lot of damage to Roy Harper's name. Next is going to be DK2, and I feel like this shouldn't actually fully be on the list, but I'm putting it on here because I didn't finish it. But that's the problem. I couldn't finish it. I, obviously, like everyone else, loved Dark Knight Returns. This was a massive win for Frank Miller, and I'm not even a big Frank Miller art fan then. The art style is not my cup of tea in Dark Knight Returns. However, the story is so good, I overlook it. Well, when DK2 came around, the art style had changed so dramatically that I actually felt that it was essentially unreadable. And you know what's crazy? I actually don't even really remember the story, which is why I say I don't know I should have had it on this list. But the fact that I wasn't able to finish it and I don't remember the story is why I think it is on the list. Very disappointing to see the Frank Miller artwork decline, and it looks like it's kind of been looking like that for the past 2 decades now. Whatever, I guess some people like it, but I thought it was a pretty big disappointment. All right, then we're going to do Batman 82 and 85 from the Tom King run. There's a lot of people that seem to say after issue 50, it drops off. And I could hear that argument. I actually do like it after 50 for quite a bit, up until about 81. You have to understand that my favorite villain is Bane. And finally, Tom King didn't just give us an arc, he gave us an entire volume of Batman in which Bane was the smartest villain in his entire rogues gallery. And then he took it all away to make it more about the Thomas Wayne Flashpoint Batman who completely steals Bane Thunder in the final hour. What is it with DC and nerfing Bane at the last minute? Just like Nolan's Dark Knight Rises, this is the same thing. Give him the spotlight. Don't make it about someone else. Even though I liked the Thomas Wayne stuff, I thought it was strong, I didn't like that it had to step on the toes of Bane in order to do it. At least Bane got his revenge in jail when he cracks Thomas Wayne's back, but it still felt like they nerfed him in the end, and that sucks. Next is going to be Batman Urban Legends number 6. I actually loved the Urban Legends run. It was kind of like Legends of the Dark Knight all over again. A lot of really good pocket Batman stories. But in Urban Legends number 6, they very randomly decided to turn Tim Drake gay.
Huh?
And I know there's going to be one person commenting this, so I'll just say it. I would be equally as disappointed if they suddenly made Batwoman, Jackson Hyde, or Renee Montoya super straight. I don't like when you mess with a long-lasting character just to pander to some crowd that doesn't even probably want that anyway. Of all the characters that DC has done this with in the last 10 years, this is the one that bugged me the most because it felt the most, what? I read the original 90s Tim Drake Robin run to death. It was what I grew up with. I'm actually staring, let me get it. Literally sitting on the desk over there, I have one of the now empty Robin Collector's sets. So I know this stuff well. And when I tell you that this was really random and really forced on us, it was really random and really forced on us. My working theory is they just needed a bigger character as a poster to be incorporated in. But I like when you have a newly established character, gay, straight, whatever. That was really, really strange, and I keep thinking it's going to get retconned, and it doesn't. It looks like it's here to stay. I don't know what Stephanie Brown has to say about this, but this certainly undoes a lot of continuity. Next is going to be Ultimatum, and this one's on here just for bad writing and maybe a little bit of shock value. So I was really into the Ultimate universe. I could grab it again. I see some Ultimate comics from the 2000s sitting there as well. When we got Ultimates 3 and we got our Ultimatum, I feel like there was a big shift in writing to just focus on shock value. Ultimatum is disgusting, dude. It's really torture porny. It's kind of grotesque. There's things I can't unsee in there. I mean, the Blob eating the wasp and saying that stupid line, tastes like chicken. And then you have Hank Pym take his revenge and bite the head off the Blob. What is happening here? This isn't Marvel. This is like DC on its worst day. DC is supposed to be the dark one, not Marvel. It felt very forced. It felt very ugly. And I feel like it was just, look how many main characters we can kill. Not a fan. Next is Man of Steel, the 2018 miniseries. This was Brian Michael Bendis with Rogal Zar, who was a character that with such a major retcon, they were trying to say that this random dude is the reason that Krypton was destroyed. And it's revealed in Man of Steel #1 that he's responsible for the destruction of Krypton. I feel like that is such a cheap way to try to get some sales, man. I do not like that. I still don't like that. The art was fantastic, but that can only save you so much. I think you guys are getting the vibe that I don't like retcons that don't stick the landing. I like some retcons, but retcons that don't stick the landing, like this one, really doesn't work for me. I don't think you should be messing with a almost 100-year-old character by saying his entire origin and the reason why he does everything. Yeah, forget that. It's actually this guy to blame. Come on, man. Come on. The final one I'm going to give you is an X-Men one with Excalibur, #1 from 2004. This is exactly when I fell apart with X-Men. I have not really been a fan since, and that was over 20 years ago. So I really liked in New X-Men when Magneto was presumed dead and they had Zorn as a new member of the X-Men come in. He was very mysterious. absolutely threw everyone off the scent. They revealed that over time he was actually Magneto. No one saw it coming. It was really, really cool, and it was some clever writing. But unfortunately, they couldn't let that clever writing be. Wolverine actually kills Magneto. Zorn revealed to be Magneto in, I think, issue 150. And less than a year later, in Excalibur #1, we see Magneto show up at the very end, and apparently Zorn was just impersonating Magneto that whole time. No, you had the balls to do something cool. Everyone really liked it. It was really cutting edge. And within the same year, psych, that was just an impersonator. We've seen this a lot in comics where you get impersonations be the real person who died, and I felt like this one was really disappointing. I feel like there was probably a way to bring Magneto back from the dead without having to ruin the character and plot arc of Zorn. Not a fan of that one, and that made me pretty mad. What are some comics that really bugged you and made you angry? Drop them in the comments below, and as always, keep on hunting.
Make sure to come on down to Sentiment Depot's Antiques and Collectibles, located at 238 West Delaware Ave in Pennington, New Jersey. Find so many great books for just $1 and the lowest prices on key comics around. Enjoy a huge selection of graded comics priced up to 20% lower than current fair market value. We are open from Wednesday to Sunday, closed Monday, Tuesday. You got a collection you want to sell? Bring that too. Can't wait to see you there.